Welcome everyone. My name is Agnes Jasińska and I'm a research data specialist with the Digital Curation Center. And today we have another session in our Digital Research Infrastructure webinar series. And today the topic will be CESSDA. And before we get to the presentation, which is of course the reason why you're here, let me just tell you a few words about who we are. So we are the host of this meeting, and we have the great pleasure of having experts from different research infrastructures join us to explain everything we want to learn. We are the Digital Curation Center. It's a center of expertise in digital information curation, very generally, but also specifically research data management, data curation, and open science and related topics. And we do training, we organize events, we are involved in advocacy, we offer consultancy guidance, and we also curate International Journal of Digital Curation. We have the DMP online tool to help you build data management plans for your research. And we organize an annual conference, the International Digital Curation Conference. And the next edition of that event will be in Lisbon. So we, of course, encourage you all to register, and we hope to see you there. And so with that, without further ado, I will give the stage to our speakers, Irena and Alan from CESSDA. And to do that, I will stop sharing, and we will quickly and smoothly switch to the next presentation. And just to remind you, if you have questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. I will monitor the chat, and my colleague Daniel will as well, so we can alert the speakers if anything needs clarifying. All right, please take it away. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. So, yes, Irena, thanks for sharing the slides. I will start first, say hello from Bergen in Norway, and Irena is in Ljubljana in Slovenia. And thanks for being curious about CESSDA. You know, sometimes when you search or when you enter CESSDA, then you get a suggestion. Did you mean Cessna, like this small airplane? You know? So now you will know what is CESSDA. So CESSDA is a consortium of European social science data archives. We are a consortium of 22 members and central main office. Our members are basically countries, which have each country has a a representative in CESSDA, which is our service provider. So basically, these are usually national social science data archives in these countries. So we have 22 members, full members, and 11 partners. These are like aspiring members that are preparing for a membership. Our mission and the goal is to provide, as a community of service providers and the main office, to provide tools and services for social science researchers, for data stewards, and other stakeholders to contribute to effective solution to global societal challenges. Irena, please, next slide. So CESSDA is here for a long time, and I like to say that CESSDA was fair before fair. As you can see, CESSDA was born in 1976. In Amsterdam, and this year we had 50th anniversary. But as an ERIC, we became an ERIC in 2017. So you can see some kind of timeline of this CESSDA's history. Next slide, please. So our main asset basically, we have a service portfolio of several central services that are maintained centrally, so not based on some service provider, but centrally for the whole consortium. And one of the services is the main, let's say, user-facing service is CESSDA Data Catalog, which is an aggregator of metadata records across all our service providers, and we harvest their data collections, and basically these are quantitative social science studies, and this catalog, I mean, the data exchange is based also on standard protocols. Internally within the community, we use the DRI metadata standard. This is Data Documentation Initiative standard. So yeah, basically it's possible to have a nicely documented data sets. Okay, next slide, please. In numbers, so for example, in 2024, we had, so these numbers are collected across all our service providers and all user-facing services that we as a consortium provide. So there are some numbers like almost 10 million visits, almost half a million user accounts registered across service providers, etc., etc. So we have a lot of training and educational events, and which attracts yeah, thousands of attendees. So there is a great impact from that side. So basically, as I said, it's about the open science. We practice FAIR from the beginning. The documenting data and data quality is of great relevance here. We are trying to also close this circle between a researcher as a depositor, as a user. We provide services for repository personnel and support, and also other stakeholders, like for example, for journal editors. We also have policies and guidelines that can be used in that area as well. Next slide, please. So our service portfolio, the services that are maintained centrally with engagement of our service providers are, as I said already, CESSDA Data Catalog as a main service. Then we have some supporting services like vocabularies and thesauri. So ELST is European Language Social Science Thesauri, multilingual thesauri. CESSDA vocabulary service, also a number of controlled vocabularies that are used for our services for documenting data, etc. We have a resource directory. Resource directory is it's meant to be a directory of all resources that are produced within the community, and also outside the community, but are relevant for social science scientists and RDM staff. European Question Bank, it's let's say a sister service to Data Catalog, in the sense that there are data sets, and the European Question Bank is practically a catalog of questionnaires and questions. This is our most recent service that is still let's say in development. Metadata validator, as I said, strict metadata requirements are the core of the exchange of information within the CESSDA community and beyond. So we have also the validator which is used to validate DDI properties of your data set. And the guides, we have, these are very, very much used literature and resources. Data management expert guide for researchers, and data archiving guide for guide for the archive staff. And also most recent data citation guide, because we see the importance of proper citation of data. So we prepared a guide for a range of stakeholders. Yeah, my last let's say word here about these services. Each service these are central services hosted on a central CESSDA infrastructure, but they are maintained by the community. So each service has a service owner and a technical maintainer. Service owner is responsible for the overall functioning of the service, and the technical maintainer is responsible for the technical part, bug fixes, developments, etc. And these service owners and technical maintainers are part of our service community, of our service providers. There are a few exceptions where we have outsourced technical maintainers, but these are specific things. But we are trying to have this like community-based engagement of the whole community in delivering the consortium central services. Okay, Irena.
Yes, thank you, Alan. So Alan gave you a quick overview of all the elements that we have, or at least that we have in CESSDA, but I would like to go a bit more in depth with them so that you have an image and impression idea how certain things could be used. One of our top used resources additional to the catalog actually says the Data Management Expert Guide. This guide was first published in 2017, so you can imagine that it's already a resource at that time that was really important. And one of the elements that you need to know is data repositories really come to the play at the end of research. And we notice that there are several steps that might actually influence the quality of the publications. So we as CESSDA, and again, you saw the timeline that we already started working 50 years ago, really identified that this is a crucial element, and we wanted to be kind of support to the researchers in different elements of the research process, and hence this data management expert guide was created. In each of the steps of the research lifecycle, you also have a part that is specially dedicated on how you can write data management plan. As you know, the plans are requirements for different national and international projects nowadays. But I also wanted to point out that we as CESSDA service providers don't only work inside CESSDA, but we are heavily collaborating in different projects with different partners, different ERICs on these. And this is one of the guides that was published last year. It's guidelines for sharing data on human participants, which is also really important, again, for us at the end of the line where we publish data, but it's important for the researchers through the process what they need to do so that data could be shared at the end themselves. I would like to structure my presentation now based on the FAIR principles, because we find that this is really important. At the end, you need to prove that you as a researcher really follow FAIR principles, and we wanted to showcase how certain CESSDA products and tools can be linked here. As it is for the findable, the most important element for sure is the CESSDA catalog, where researchers can browse different data sets and and find it access. All of these data that we are published, so the studies actually have persistent identifiers. We are mostly using DRIs so that we are trying to ensure the data sets can be reliably founded and cited over the time. And also important element, as Alan was already saying before, that we're using standardized description data sets so that things could be read by humans, but also by machines. This is an image screen of our catalog, and as you can see, some of the filters could be made just because we are using these standardized metadata. I was using here a filter for the topic classification, but also at the bottom, I'm not certain whether you can see, it's just I wanted to filter a few really latest publications that are there. And it's possible to view this in English because most of the service providers would prepare study description both in national language and English. But once I change the view on Finnish, because I see the data set was created in Finnish language originally, you can automatically get view of different other keywords or topic classification in Finnish language just because we have all this linked in the back. What you can also see from the catalog is some information on the data access. Some data is restricted, and you can further follow on the webpage of the Finnish archive to get more information. But each of the data set doesn't have only the abstract and some key information, but it has already in the catalog quite a lot of information available. So you can decide if this is something that you can use. But the most important element already in the catalog, you have a reference to the persistent identifier, which could be used for the references in your other publications. And this is a view further on in Finnish repository. How does it look like? I think this is one of the records that is described, but it has a bit lower amount of description because it's a registry which has some other documentation available elsewhere. But also what Alan was saying, we are describing all of our data sets, mostly also on the level of variable, so that you can review already when you click on the file. So this is still metadata description. It's not a file. You don't need to download the file. In most cases, you will not need to be registered, but you can already see a question tags and some frequencies so that you had a first glimpse whether these data is actually important for you, whether you want to download it, whether you want to register for it as say. And this is just a quick view of the backend. This is DDI code. I think it's codebook at this end, but it's basically just the documentation and how things are written so that other computers can read that. You cannot see it, but in the end, we have some kind of references to the vocabularies. So this is just a clip and part of the documentation that is there in the back. Data can be found, but data can be added to the catalogs wherever. But if data are not properly cited, we have a problem here because then you cannot really see whether data was used, whether it was properly used. So we did create a data citation guide just because of that. We actually are targeting in the citation guide 6 stakeholders. For each of them, we created some recommendation what needs to be done, because it's not everything that is only on the author. It's also recommendations for journals and publisher, but also other communities. Additionally to just putting data in the catalog, we also made quite a lot of efforts to actually actively promote data sets. And this is just from one of the workshops that we had this year. We were using here, I think, Kronos, which is European Social Survey data. Presenters were presenting the data sets, but we really had experts and also experts from European Commission, Joint Research Center, that were talking about the policy aspect of the use of these kind of data sets. So researchers could come and play around, and we were there like whole day trying to test different hypotheses and what could be done with the data. So this is really important view. You might have noticed in several calls, you now don't really have only the obligations to create data management plan, but you also have obligation to create communication plan. And you need to be able to showcase how the data are used. So if you're a researcher and would like to promote your data sets through us, please let us know and we can do something on that. So to continue, what are we doing with the accessible principle? So data could be used through standardized protocols. Data will remain available. And again, it's a lot of guidance that we have in these aspects. What we also wanted to add is that our repositories are not only a placeholder or storage, but they kind of really support researchers. They will curate, in most cases, your data files before they go published, and they will also review all the documents and documentation. So you have a person, a team in the back that will help you to prepare your data and documentation in the way that it could be best reused, because that is also important. We see several times data that are unfortunately published in other public repositories. They don't have any support in that, and they are rarely could be reused completely because certain parts of documentation might be missing. Most of the service providers are using nowadays Dataverse as a tool to actually share the data. We have some in-house solutions for larger archives, but at the end they will all showcase and broadcast through the CESSDA catalog. But just wanted to add that in most of the cases the documentation is freely available. In data files might be available under the registration, but the registration in case of Dataverse would go through AI, so your academic profiles. You don't need to wait anymore for any confirmation for most of the data files. For certainly, repositories also offer publications of sensitive data, and for those there are different, more stricter registration rules. But I would say that at least 80% of the things in the repositories could be accessible just with your academic profiles, which I think is really easy to actually get to it. Another guide that we created is Data Archiving Guide. It was originally developed for the staff in the data repositories, but I would also recommend it for the researchers because they could read in that, they would understand repository requirements because they cannot just publish everything everywhere. And in most of the cases, it's just not going to be published in an hour, but as with the article, there's a review process. But they can also learn how to organize, document, and describe their data. They can learn about the FAIR principles, about the transparency and reproducibility. So many elements that are in Data Archiving Guide could be and should be important for the researchers themselves. I would also like to mention another aspect is the trustworthiness. So the 3/4 of CESSDA data archives are certified or working towards their certification or recertification. We are in most cases using Cortra seal as the seal or certificate for that, which is also really important because then we showcase that what we are doing will be available, that we put certain work into that. And as you can see, one of the elements that I was pointing to is prepare and review the evidence. So we do that. CESSDA is also involved through the past few years in different projects that are supporting the adoption of the certified solutions. And I think some of the work is being done in EOSC Eden and EOSC Fidelis. And if you want to know more about that, you can check the slides and find out more about it. But also to say, and we were pointing out that we are working towards the FAIR principle, but we are also working towards the trust principle. This is not something new. As CESSDA, we basically cover that from the start. We are talking that, we need to be transparent. It means that we are really publishing enough documentation so that, that it's obvious from researcher point of view what is there. We are doing this responsibly, so we are engaging also with data stewards, we are creating metadata, we are compliant with EU regulations, so we check GDPR and other things that are there and published. We are user-focused, we take care about sustainability and also about technology. So there are different principles that you will notice in your funding requirements, and these are all the elements that could be checked, once you're published in the CESSDA repositories. So if we continue with interoperable element or of the FAIR principles, so interoperability, as it was said at the beginning, is actually managed through the common metadata standard, but also common vocabularies that we're using along with CESSDA, and then also the things that are all in the back that they manage with the technical coordination. As said, we are using CESSDA vocabulary service. Just to mention, this is some of these vocabularies were developed by CESSDA, but also others by DRI alliances, and they're jointly now being presented as CESSDA vocabulary service, so that anyone that would want to use that can easily use these through the APIs and embed them in their technical system. It's really important to have these documentation, to agree what a certain term means in different languages. As you can see here, for the controlled vocabularies, for the mode of collection, these are the languages that are available for this mode. And there is a code, there is a bit of description, and this is not just something that is then used in description of the studies, but it could be used also, vocabularies could be used in any kind of training of methodology, so that you can train your students what actually certain mode means. And then if we continue by another vocabulary, which is multilingual European social science language thesaurus. And currently, we have around 3,400 concepts, and they are translated in 15 languages. Along with the translation, you have also a bit description so that you can see what exactly was meant here. And again, this is really easy. Once we are using the CESSDA catalog, you just change the language, and all of these, especially because it's a lot of description is made by the controlled vocabularies, is translated then in different languages. And I think Alan was already pointing out about the metadata validator. We have metadata office. So all of the metadata that is prepared, even if it's used in different tools, it's then validated on the CESSDA side before it goes to the catalog. So everything is synchronized and it's interoperable, and in this case could be presented outside. And the last principle is about the reusability itself. CESSDA enhance data reuse by promoting comprehensive documentation and metadata that helps user understand the contents and methodology. And then again, we have several guides, several parts of the guides that I was already presenting, take care of that and have this clean information inside. But also we are encouraging clear licensing. So it's also an important element that you don't just find a data file there and then okay, how can I actually use that? What am I allowed to do? And also citation, as we said before. So for the comprehensive documentation, as mentioned, we are using DRI standard. I would also like to point out that DRI has been formally recognized as ISO standard as of this year. So this is also important to know. DRI itself has really rich metadata structure. It's not just a basic study description. It really involves and have also fields about methodology, sampling. It can go to really in-depth variable and level documentation, and also about the rich provenance of how certain things were created. You can create all of that. I have some background noise. I think somebody might have their mic on, but I'll continue. So it's really important for that. And as we saw at the beginning, there's a really XML code for that, but most of us are not doing that in XML. There are tools that we are using that we can use these for describing, and researchers help us with that. So we are working on that jointly. Yes, and you can find more about that on DRI Alliance page or Verbi DRI project. So there are different projects that are trying to work on that. And one element, perhaps an invitation also here, that we are having European DDI conferences. I think this year is in Brussels at the end of November. If somebody wants to know more about it, how data repositories are working with the files, do join us. And I think we'll have a separate session that is going to be dedicated only for the quantitative data, which is also an important element. So for the and qualitative data, yes. About data citation, we already mentioned that we had this guide. Why this is important, I would also just like to point out that in many cases you will see now in journals data availability statement, and the researcher then say, okay, I added my information about the data there. But actually what happens is that this is then not added in the in the list of resources, and because it's not added in the list of resources, it's not added in the repositories, and it's not then visible when you try to report when a certain data file was actually used. You don't see it in knowledge graphs. So it's really important that data is properly cited as a separate output for that, and that we add it, in the text if needed. We add it in the footnote, but importantly, we need to have it at the back, at the end of the references. And it's nothing, it's not really that different than normal citation. We just use normal citation. If it's possible, use the versioning. If the data has a versioning, you would have a publisher as you would have a publisher for any other publications. It's only the resource type that might be added depending on the rules of a journal or publication. But it's useful if you would put it like that there is resource type. So nothing specific, just try to remember that whatever you do, whatever resources you're using, you put them at the end as a resources and you cite them properly. For the reproducibility element, I would also like to point out another resource that we were creating recently. It's an example of the course and on open science and reproducible research. And this is one of the section when we were presenting how to use a specific package so that you can pack the version of the, actually at this point it was the version of R code that you were using in the analysis or for the creation of your data. You might have noticed that sometimes even for yourself you create a code and then you want to run it in half a year time and it doesn't work because the creators changed something in the code. So there are packages where you can pack, the exact version of the code that you were using, and that would help you with that. And there are several other sub elements here in this course example as well. But these are just examples of the things we are working on because we want to make sure that it's easier for the researcher how to use it. And also one of the examples that you will find in this course is also how to access the data sets via API. So if you are using a certain data file for several times, you can also check it out how this is possible. And I think, Alan, I'm giving you back the word for these few slides at the end. You're still around?
Yep. Thanks. Are there any questions maybe in the meantime for this part, or we will collect them at the end? There is nothing in the chat.
Yes, we could keep going, but we will have time for some Q&A. Yeah. Yes, so please, everyone, prepare your questions. A lot of useful information and useful resources. So we welcome your questions in a few moments.
Okay, so yeah, basically, CESSDA is about from one side about preserving the social science research, preserving data for the new generations, for basically snapshotting the point in time, because when you deal with the society, then you have a research which can be, the collection of that data can be reproduced. So yeah, about archiving the history as well somehow. And also it's about the open science, about the validation, about archiving data and having them available for validation, for reuse, for education. So that's why we are developing the fair data infrastructure. We are engaged in standards and yeah, as data management leader, because our guides are used interdisciplinary, not just for the social sciences, but cross-disciplinary as well, because this is like some kind of general knowledge about research data management. We can also say that we respond to some kind of emerging needs, and we are responding to the changes in the let's say environment and landscape related to the research infrastructures and research in general. So here we are forming working groups. Some of them are core topic working groups, like more relevant, and some of them are community proposed working groups. Can you just no, we don't have these working groups. Just you can leave on that slide, please. Yeah. Okay. So I would just say that we have so for the core working groups, for example, Irena already said we are dealing with the trustworthy repository. So we have a trust and landscape working group. We have interoperability coordination working group, because this is the core of our metadata exchange and information exchange in the between the services in the community, but also we will see and beyond when we talk about the EOSC, for example. And also we have one of our core working groups is the AI working group, which is formed last year. Here in CESSDA, and these working groups consists of the staff from our service providers, which share their expertise and experience related to these topics. And we have also, as I said, key topic working groups, which are bottom up working groups. There we have sensitive data access working group, because sensitive data is access to sensitive data is a pretty complex thing, and we have several we have expertise within the service providers, and they are trying to resolve these issues and to come up with the optimal solutions. Data citation working group, as we said, there is a data citation guide as one of the results. We have CESSDA Dataverse working group as well as one of the key topic working groups, because in CESSDA environment, so from 20 repositories from our service providers, there is 50% is based on a Dataverse platform. For those who are familiar with repository platform solutions, Dataverse is not just a side note. It's not the best, but it was the most convenient for implementation at some point. So we have this working group as well, and also we can say that we are core contributor to EOSC. EOSC as in European Open Science Cloud. We were part of the several projects previously, and currently we participate in EOSC Beyond project, where we have CESSDA as a pilot node. So we are simulating the EOSC node within that project. And the whole project is practically about developing and testing services for the real EOSC Federation. And the EOSC Federation is the how to say, the environment that yeah, we want to build for the European researchers and infrastructures, which is the web of interconnected and shared tools and services for the research. We are also involved in a build-up phase of the EOSC Federation as part of the EOSC, some of the working groups, and in writing the first version of the EOSC Federation handbook. So basically, we are pretty much involved there, and our latest project, CD for EOSC, that started just recently, a few months ago. This is about implementing and providing the solution for cross-domain interoperability within the EOSC environment. Yeah, can we go to the next slide? As we said, also responding to emerging needs, as AI was introduced in our daily work, so there are a lot of challenges, especially in our part of the in our domain, and basically we formed a working group, and there was so much interest that we had to divide the group into 3 subgroups. So one is dealing with tools and services, AI-based tools and services. The other is dealing with ethics and ethical questions. And the last one is dealing with the infrastructure. So how to tackle these challenges, how to prepare and what we have to provide to be able to use and implement the AI-based solutions. So this is something that is the newest, and it's very interesting. We are also in this the most recent project is AI for social. So basically, it's about developing tools and tackling all of these challenges, as I said, within the social science environments. Yes, next slide, please. So also related as CD for EOSC, I mean, these are all projects that we are part of. So currently we're trying to we are trying to be engaged in and to provide opportunity for our service providers also to be engaged in projects and to provide their expertise and experience with consortium, like in the background, and consortium support. So basically, this is just a side note as well. So we have in the CESSDA main office, we have project management office with a few project managers that are supporting the administrative part of the projects. And so this is some kind of supporting the service providers in that journey, giving them opportunity to be part of these large EU projects as well. And of course for CESSDA in general to be present there. Except just can you okay. So related to these standards and data management, so we can say also that somehow we are defining the standards and protocols, processes. For example, in the OS projects, it's about, as they say, plan, track, assess. So how to document DMP, how to make data management plans, how to track the progress of the research in the terms of collecting data, archiving, etc., and how to assess basically the quality of a data set, of a documentation, and how to assess the fairness of data. So there we are also part of this OS Trails project. We deal with these challenges. Yeah, next, please. Fair data infrastructure. Yeah, I mean, all of these projects are based, and we are using it to develop our infrastructure and to make so ERIC, our CESSDA ERIC infrastructure, compliant with broader European research infrastructures and EOSC in general. Irena, do you have anything else to add here? Maybe.
No, yeah. just saying that we are there. Looking at the time, I'll just wrap up, Alan, our presentation so that people still have time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, just basically to say thank you for coming in August, so to say, and we really welcome some contribution, as you can see, also for the translation and other elements, but also follow us on you can register for the newsletter. I think we publish like 3 per year, so it's not too much burden, but also organizing webinars and joining events like these where I would like to thank also the DCC for organizing that. And Agnes, I'll stop sharing and give you the floor.
Yeah, back. And we have very good LinkedIn page, and our communication officer is having a lot of efforts there. So yeah, this is a good source of information for the events as well.
Yes, thank you so much. Such a rich presentation, so many resources. So we welcome questions from the audience, and also we will share the slides, of course, and maybe some additional links and resources so people can find them easily. But any questions for our speakers, please? Yes, please. Lorraine, you are welcome to speak up, or yes, I think you're ready to speak. Go ahead.
Hello there. Thank you for the great resources, the pointers to all the resources. It was really useful. I work in research support, an open research officer. I have responsibility for open data, and I'm starting to meet with more researchers saying, AI, and I'm really frightened about getting my data out and making it open. Just listening to you mention AI at the end there, and you have so many great resources. I just wondered, is there anything that, guidance, recommendations, help for us sort of folks interacting with researchers about AI? I'm research data, someone who feels far from an expert herself, having to sort of meet researchers' concerns. I don't know if it's, I know the working group's only new, so you might not yet have anything, but I thought I'd just ask, as there's so many other really lovely things.
Yeah, perhaps I can start, and Alan, you can add something to that. It's one element, as said, in CESSDA repositories, most data file, I'll say, with few exceptions, are not openly available to the aspect that AI can harvest them automatically. So you need to register, you need to have usually academic account to actually get to that. the problem itself happens when researchers themselves, because they want to analyze data and they don't have statistical softwares, they just put it in AI and said, create me a report. And then they, kind of think of, okay, but what we are, other researchers as users need to be really careful about it, but the regional researcher is already putting that in the AI. It's not a rare situation, actually, that we found out that researchers told us that they were using different AI tools for their original analysis. So I think as it is for the repositories, we are safeguarding, and in our user rules, we also have, in most of the cases, a clause that the data are not allowed to be uploaded to any open AI systems. It's a different if you have something really closed under your university or institute environment, and even then it's discussable. But yes, we see the problems coming from the regional researchers that might be more, pointers for that.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
I might add also that that there is no outputs yet from these working groups, but just stay tuned, and when they publish something, it will be available either on our website or through any of the channels. One more thing that we are dealing with here when it comes to the AI is basically using the AI in the data curation process. So if you want to use for some kind of automatic topic classification, some kind of summarizations, translation, then you have to have your own local instance of the AI models or something else. You don't want to feed it into some external stuff. So this part of the AI infrastructure is also something that we are dealing with. But there is a lot of points where the fears that you, Lorraine, said that they could be addressed.
So watch this. I'll watch that space carefully. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Lorraine. Great question. Any other questions? We have probably time for one more question. Anyone? If not, I have some, but I don't want to use my power. Any questions? All right, then I'll ask mine, but we have time for one more if anyone else has one. I'm curious about the working groups and how people might get involved. Are they open to involvement? Are they still looking for participants? You mentioned that the AI group got so big that had to split into 3 groups. What would be the process for someone who is interested to start getting involved in one of the working groups?
Currently, we the working groups members are our service provider staff. Okay. So basically, there are some exceptions, but we don't accept members from outside. I would advise that you check into the RDA or some other organizations, and they are more open and in the sense of the joining the working groups on certain topics, and there is a large variety of topics. You can be more specific in what are you interested in.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. So with that, I think I will share my conclusion slides, which are really more thank you slides. And the thank you goes to the presenters as well as to all of you, the participants. And I wanted to mention that there will be another session in our webinar series. It's coming in September. You can already register, and we would love that if you did. We will also share the slides and the recording and any other materials from this session, so stay tuned for that. And there are some ways you can also follow the Digital Curation Center if you'd like. So you will have all the links on the slides when we share them, and you are, of course, most most welcome to connect with us as well. And so with that, thank you so much to everyone who participated. It was great to have such a big group, and especially in August when we know that it's very difficult. I hope that you still have a little bit of annual leave to use while the weather is nice. Or maybe you want to save it until the weather gets a little cooler, if you're in a part of the world where it's too hot to go outside. But thank you so much to our speakers.
Challenging, to decide what's better. But, thank you for organizing.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.